Okay, so let's take a look at a question from the 2023 HSC Advanced Maths paper. So in this video we're going to have a look at question 27a, just the first part. So question 27, this is part A. So we're given the graph of some function. We're told y equals f of x. We're told that it's an absolute value function multiplied by a constant added to a constant. And we're told it passes through a series of points. We've got to find the values of a, b, and c that satisfy this diagram. Alright, so one way to do this is we can find the equations of the two lines. So the line connecting the point 6, 7 and the point 9 minus 5 and 6, 7 and 3 minus 5. We only really need one of them. So let's find the line connecting, let's say, 3 minus 5 and 6, 7. So we have some line connecting this point and this point. So this has positive slope. The rise, well, it goes from a y of minus 5 to a y of 7. So the rise is 12. It goes from an x of 3 to an x of 6. So the run is 3. So the slope of this line is rise over run, which is 4. So we know that the slope is 4. Now it passes through the point 3 minus 5 and the point 6, 7. That's not really relevant though, right? We don't really need to find any of that information. All we needed was the slope of this line. Because what we're going to do is we are going to redraw this line centered at the origin, right? So we're going to have y equals 4, 4x. It's going to look like this, and it's going to go down here. This line has the same slope as both of the lines in the diagram, right? We found the slope of one of them. Now we've drawn the line with that slope. If we then take a slight variation of this function, so let's pick purple. If we say y equals the absolute value of 4x, this is going to be this function, but up on both sides, right? Because whenever you take an absolute value of a function, it just takes any of the points that were below the x-axis and reflects them up. So now we have a template shape. Y equals 4x is essentially this same shape, but it's pointing in the wrong direction and it's centered at the wrong point. So now all we need to do is we need to flip y equals absolute 4x upside down, and then we need to move it across by 6 and up by 7, because we know that its vertex is at 6, 7. So what we'll do is we'll flip it downwards. So y equals absolute value of 4x will become y equals the negative absolute value of 4x. So what this did was this turns it downwards. So now we're dealing with this function down here, y equals the negative, the absolute value of 4x. Now we just need to move it across by 6 and up by 7. Well, to move it up by 7, we're just going to add 7. So we can add 7 to both sides. This will move it up by 7. So our new function is y equals minus absolute value 4x plus 7. And then to move it to the right by 6, we need to let x become x minus 6. If you replace x with x minus something, it moves it to the right by that many units, which is somewhat counterintuitive because this is a minus. Students often associate minus with left because the negative numbers are on the left-hand side of the graph, but replacing x with x minus 6 moves it to the right. So this will give us y equals negative absolute value 4 times x minus 6 all plus 7. So now this is a form of the correct answer. Now what we need to do is we need to rearrange this. So if we expand the brackets, we get y is equal to the negative of 4x minus 24 plus 7. Now we can factor 4 out of the absolute. So we're going to get y equals negative 4 times the absolute value of x. If we are going to be taking the 4, this will still be a minus 6 plus 7. This is going to be our solution equation. So this is the correct equation, but also in the correct form. Now we can read A, B, and C directly from this. A has to be minus 4. It's the term at the front. B has to be 6. Note, it's not minus 6 because we have an x minus 6 in here, and it's given the equation in the form A times absolute x minus B. So this means B, in fact, is plus 6. And then C is going to be 7. So A is minus 4, B is 6, C is 7. These are the solutions. And this was one way to do it, to think about the general slope of this function, because it's an absolute value function, and it's obviously a linear absolute value function because it's a line. So you just find the slope of that line, set up a general absolute value with that slope, and then transform it until it looks exactly like this one. And as it turns out, if you have the correct slope, all you need to do is change the orientation. So flip it upside down, move it to the left or right, and then move it up or down. So in terms of the marking for these kind of questions will vary a little bit depending on how you do it. You will get 1 mark for attempting to set up some kind of absolute value equation to demonstrate this, right? So finding the slopes of the lines, plugging them into formulas, something like this. This will get you 1 mark or some equivalent merit. For the second mark, if you're able to correctly set up an equation but not quite find all of the values from it, this is likely to get you the second mark, or again, some equivalent merit. And then the third mark is going to be for a correct equation and all of the correct values, right? So you've got to get the correct equation and you've got to get the right values from it. So this is how we do question 27A. This is one way to do question 27A.